So somebody doesn't know anything about the thyroid. Like what is the thyroid gland? What does it do? How does it work? Why is this even important?
Yeah, totally. So basically
Yeah.
your thyroid is just a little butterfly shaped gland in your neck. And it is quite literally like the whole analogy of like happy wife, happy life. If your thyroid is not happy and it's not picking up what you're putting down on your nutrition, your fitness, your lifestyle front, like you're going to feel like dookie, you're going to feel like poo-poo, So your thyroid's basically just a butterfly shaped gland. It regulates and interacts with everything from your sleep, your metabolism. If your thyroid's off, there's likely a good chance your other sex hormones are probably off. It just cascades into so many things in the body. And so with that, it's like we can have a lot of things that go wrong. And so if we're running slow and we're running low, that would be basically hypothyroidism. And so that's where the body isn't producing enough thyroid hormone. Reversely, if we're producing too much, which it isn't as common, like more people see the hypo side of things, but you do see people that run on the hyper spectrum things, or if you just end up like accidentally taking too much meds because you can't get things regulated. Hyperthyroidism is, again, hyper, fast. It means your body is producing too much thyroid hormone. And so kind of the like icky one that can also happen is you can have an autoimmune reaction, which is called basically Hashimoto's. It just means that you have thyroid antibodies. And so basically your body's pissed, again, whether it's, stuff that you are doing and conscious choices that you're making, or could be, stuff in your environment. Like there's always so much discussion about like endocrine disruptors in our exposures to plastics and just all of these like fragrances and things, which I don't, again, it's like, I don't want to get into that stuff today, but basically just know that, you can basically have an autoimmune component to this. It's called Hashimoto's. And so basically your body, creates an autoimmune response. It starts attacking your own thyroid gland. And so as your thyroid gets damaged over time, well, obviously it's not pumping out hormones. And then you start running, hypothyroid as well. So the biggie is just understanding it's like any of these can happen at any point in your life. There's a lot of things that we'll kind of get into, like who's the most likely to have it and this and that. But just understand, it's like this is something to check for regularly because it's like if your thyroid's not happy, you're probably going to feel like shit.
So what are some things that you typically see with people who have thyroid issues? Like what are some signs, some symptoms?
Yeah, so we kind of got into this at the beginning of the podcast, but the biggies are really going to be, are we struggling with either weight gain or just struggling with our weight? So it's like, I'm trying to diet and nothing's happening. Like I'm dropping my food.
Calories. Yeah, nothing
happening.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, you're going to see really, really bad exhaustion and fatigue, feeling cold all the time, having super heavy, super crampy periods. Hair loss is a big one. I remember when I was a teen, like quite literally, I'd shower and just be like pulling out mounds of hair. Another big one, like every time I see this, I'm like, we need to check your thyroid. But if you are somebody that you're always dealing with constipation, you have really slow digestion, You're only taking a dump every like 3 to 5 days. If it's cooking in there a few days, you need to check your thyroid. Like quite literally
Lord.
check your shit. And the other one is like if you're feeling cold all the time. So if you have really cold hands and fingers, if you're always rocking a hoodie when it doesn't really seem appropriate, or again, just feeling cold all the time. But other ones, like the other things you can also see, and this is actually like not super commonly known by people, but if you are struggling with high cholesterol levels, just like out of the blue, that can actually be related to thyroid stuff. If you're chronically struggling with anemia, same thing. It's like if you're kind of doing all the right things, sometimes that can be related to thyroid stuff. Depression and mood stuff also kind of go commonly hand in hand. Same thing if sex drive is just like a big old goose egg, that can be another thing. But it's like with all of these, you kind of notice it's the body running slow or it's the body running sluggish in terms of, again, you're only
And
going
this is
to
hypothyroid, correct?
Yep. And
Yeah,
I'm
hypo.
probably,
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm just going to focus on that today because, like I said, it's the more common of the two. Basically, just think for everything hyper, everything's going to be flipped. So it's going to be like, hi, like, why am I losing weight even though I'm eating all the food and not trying to? I'm feeling anxious all the time. I'm feeling jittery. I'm feeling super shaky, or, I'm dealing with like heart palpitations and not being able to sleep at night. Just kind of frame it in that way that it's like, if everything it seems like it's going fast, that's hyperthyroidism. If everything seems like it's going slow or it's just like not going well, that's probably more like the hypo side of stuff.
Yeah, actually, it's quite interesting. A lot of these symptoms, do they often come together? Or can you have just like one thing that you experience and you should take a look at it? Is like any one particular thing like, oh yeah, I definitely need to like check this out? Or is it more of like a combination of these things?
I think it really just depends. Cause like, especially, I'm about to be 34. So it's like, holy shit. Like I've been dealing with this for like quite literally a minute. And it's like, there have been times where I would go do testing because I'd be like, yo, I've got all the symptoms. Like I bet I'm running super low. And then it would be something super dumb where I'd be like, oh shit, not getting enough D. Like quite literally be like, oh, I have low vitamin D, or like, oh, I'm running slightly like low iron or slightly anemic. So I think that's the frustrating thing is it's like, there's so many things to test. It might not be your thyroid. It might be, your other sex hormones. Maybe you're not producing enough progesterone. In addition to, it can be something as simple or dumb as like, oh, hey, I'm a little low in vitamin B12. Like shit, that might elicit the same, very similar or a lot of the same symptoms. So I think again, it's like whenever we put out infographics or if like we were listing off symptoms and you're like, damn, I'm like
that's me.
Yeah, like this is me. Well, like, yeah, go get your shit checked. But I think I'm a really big advocate of, again, like thyroid stuff can happen at any time. So I'm just a big advocate. It's like, yo, like literally just check it. Like it's such like your insurance is going to cover it. It's such an easy thing to check because it's like, if you're going to have problems, like let it be something like, hey, I'm falling short on a habit, or it's something actionable I can actually change. Because again, it's like if your thyroid levels are garbage, you're probably not going to see, great or quick or easy success trying to diet or do the things you're trying to do, whether it's chase muscle gain, any of that stuff. And so I'm a big fan, like check it regularly, even if it's never been a thing in your life, like check it once a year, check it every 6 months, that sort of thing for sure.
Yeah.